So on Wednesday, which was Wisdom Wednesday, we touched on the fact that Elijah brought in the end of the drought. The drought that for 3.5 years he had stood against every day, commanding clouds not to rain, every day commanding there be no moisture. Every day for 3.5 years he bound and he took control over the elements, nature itself. But at the end of 3.5 years, he now prophesies after the great sign of Elijah on Mount Carmel defeating those prophets, that the Lord is God. He now releases the rains back. And to release it, he goes up on top of Mount Carmel with his servant and he bows his head between his knees and he begins to pray. And he keeps on telling his servant to look. 7 times his servant goes to look. 7 is the number of rest, completion. It is Sabbath, coming into the end of your work. And at the 7th time, the servant said, I see a cloud the size of a man's hand rising up out of the sea. And before the conversation is even complete, there is thunder, rain, horrendous outpouring of floods to break this entire condition. And before Elijah even said that to his servant, he heard it prophetically. We touched on what he said and what he heard before his servant saw and they felt the rain. I want to say it again. Elijah, before his servant saw and they felt and they were touched by the rain, he said, I hear the sound of an abundance of rain. He was hearing in the spirit. And this is something important. Elijah could hear. And this is something we need to learn from Elijah positively. To hear what God is saying. Not be distressed by what you have seen around you, but instead to hear what you are trusting God for, what God has revealed. So Elijah heard the sound of an abundance of rain even before one drop physically was manifested. So he heard it. Then he prayed it. Then the servant began to see it. And then they all experienced the flood of God's amazing power, breaking the 3.5 year drought.